Okay, folks, stand to call the meeting to order for the pledge, please. Bonnie, lead us on. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll pay for that later. Nice to see a good turnout tonight. Minutes review. Has everybody had a chance to review the clerk's minutes from the June 12th meeting? And anybody have any requests for additions, changes, deletions, augmentations to the clerk's minutes? Hearing none, those are the clerk's minutes. That brings us to the first public comment, just like that. Anybody in the public wishing to say anything tonight? Raise your hand. First hand up was in the back, Peggy. Got that on the agenda for later tonight, but we're going to be discussing coming to an agreement, but not right now. Okay.
Any update on the cell phone tower?
I've got that on the agenda. Did anybody read the agenda when they came in? The printers know. I'm just having fun with it. I'd just like to kind of take things in order tonight if we could. Yes.
So just like to, I'm Glenn Regroup, I live on this road. Thank you all for your service. You guys do a wonderful job, John. So my concern is on Uncas Road, the 40-mile-an-hour speed limit, and I'm on the dirt road, and you know, people drive down that road upwards of 60 miles consistent. And so some of my concerns are, you know, the excessive speeds, the trailhead. There's a trailhead, the 8th Lake, Birds Bog, Blackburn Mountain, Rocky Point, Brown's Track Pond. I mean, it goes on and on. So there's a fair amount of traffic, pedestrian traffic, bicycles, people hiking to come back on the backside. They get turned around on the top of Rocky Point and Blackburn Mountain, and it kicks them out onto that road on the backside. And then they're walking through, and I get people ride all the time, like, you know, pick one of them up and drive them around. That's, you know, they got 5 mile hike. So, you know, those are my concerns on the road. Some of the questions that I have, and I'm glad to give you guys a copy of this so you can. I'm not, you know, I know a fair amount about the road, but Uncas Road is part inlet, part Long Lake, part wreck. It's a pretty diverse, you know, there's a lot of sections in there. So who or what law enforcement is responsible to enforce speed limits?
Three that I can think of right now, seeing as how Long Lake and Racket Lake don't have any police department, it would be Inlet, State Police, and the county police. The issue with the speed on that, we've asked to have speed reductions on the road. You have to go through a state study. I think we've asked for that 2 or 3 times in the last 18 years, and they've come back and said it's fine.
Yeah, Sean, thank you, because I did talk to Sean a couple of years ago, and got right on it. They did do it. I just don't know when they did it. I don't know what the criteria is for them to do the study, because I didn't see any road, you know, bumps on there, like checking how many people are going down that road. It's definitely increased over the years, and my biggest concern is it's not when, it's not if, but when someone's going to get there. It's serious, right?
I believe if it's unmarked, it still falls under the state highway code. And believe it or not, if it's unmarked for a certain amount of distance, guess what the speed limit is? 55. And we're not allowed to mark it unless they tell us what we can market. And I think even going back, see Paul Chambers back there, don't I?
Yeah.
I believe previously, I might not have been Paul, might have been the guy before him, but I think we've at one point tried marking it lower and then got told we shouldn't and couldn't. If I'm not mistaken.
You're 100% correct.
Yep. And the first thing that they said that, you know, it wasn't going to hold up in the court of law, and that if we were breaking the law by putting them up. And quite honestly, I consider that ridiculous under this under the state code. I'm with you. I wish we could do something different. And unfortunately, that doesn't mean sitting there 24/7 with the police either. And cruising that. We have the same issue on South Shore Road, 28 Limekiln Lake Road. It's the person that has to go the farthest on the road is going the fastest. If they live right there, they're not doing that. They're not breaking the law. If they're, if they're going by a little bit, but once the campground opens up, I know it gets worse.
Yeah. So can you explain, what does that mean, that it's an unmarked road?
If they haven't told us to post the road with speed limit signs,
I believe we were told that they won't do speed studies on dirt roads.
and
I
then
think that's right.
once it becomes dirt, it becomes a separate issue.
Plus, there was another issue because it was a through road. It couldn't be posted or something. It went all the way through or something.
It's not a dead end, it's.
Right, it's not a dead end road. Something about that, right?
So do you happen to know why then they allow posted speed limit down near the campground? And not on the rest of it, but they drive down, there's posted speed limit by the campground.
My guess is the state of New York did that on their own because they got complaints at the campground. And guess who's not going to tell the state of New York that they can't do that? The state of New York. And I don't mean to, I get real tongue in cheek and facetious with that stuff because that bothers me. And I'll cross right over the lines on that. You get into the lifeguards. The state campgrounds don't have to follow the same laws we have to follow at our beach out here. It's absolutely ridiculous. Do as you say, not as you do. If you're going to have one regulation through the state, they ought to follow it too.
Bottom line is it's really the state that's got kind of authority over that.
And I got to tell you, a letter campaign from the residents will do more than us asking for the speed study.
A good start.
And when I say a letter campaign, I've got to make sure I really caution you to individual, heartfelt situations that happened rather than copying it off and sending postcards. The state got wise to the postcard campaign a couple of years ago and count those as one now. So, in all honesty, that's worked for other residents in the town. When there was a bad situation on 28 with a culvert, I believe Ginny Germer made enough noise as a private resident that she got response on that. It's amazing what the public can get that we can't.
That's why we're here, trying to get an idea
Yep.
of who and what, who we should talk to. So if you have any state email address, whatever, that's a call.
Do you have a couple of those?
Start with DOT, is that what you're
Yeah,
thinking?
DOT.
I can look it up.
Peggy, you got an answer for that?
Better than we do.
Okay.
Do a phone call first and then.
To the DOT.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, I wish I could give you a different answer right off the top of my head.
Okay, that's kind of just fact finding, right?
In a different day, we would have posted it again.
That's okay. Passing lane up on 28.
Yeah, and there you go, the passing lane too, enough local complaints. And the speed reduction going out of town, as a matter of fact. Now, that said, we used to be 25 miles an hour in the center of town. Now we're not allowed to have that because that's too many speed changes.
30, no, right?
It's 30 now.
Last one,
That's all right.
I think, the speed limit, the electronic speed limit sign we got going in the inlet has been, and on both ends, it's been a game changer, right? I just noticed that people really slow down. Is that a viable option at any point on this road? And I'm not asking you guys to fund it even, but just curious.
It could be, those have had their own issues. We've got somebody sitting here in the audience that likes to clean the snow off of them every once in a while. Thank you, Denny. If we're putting it in a spot where there's not direct sunlight and there's no power, it becomes an issue.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, that's one of the issues we've gotten right now is that either the batteries or the solar on them, and sometimes they need to be reset. The county's got a couple mobile ones, but they're a pain.
Yeah.
They're a big pain. And not for nothing, Uncas Road, because it's a little bit off the beaten path, it'd probably be a seasonal use. Because if we leave it up there, I don't know if it'd still be there in the spring. And I say that quite honestly. There's been those issues down Uncas Road.
Appreciate that.
Okay, any other public comment? Julie?
Yep, a couple of things. I just want to say I'm really excited that we have Sergeant Baker on with us. He's great. And I've noticed that, I've seen a couple of the officers walking around through town a few times and talking to people, and I like that a lot. I think it gives the officers a chance to get to know people, and they were all laughing and smiling with the people that I noticed them talking with, and I think that represents him a lot well. So I'm really excited to have him on. As far as your snowmobile proposal, when you guys start to discuss that, are you going to allow comments and talking from the crowd, or, okay?
Yep.
All right.
And we're gonna do all that in open meeting. If, before I forget though, could I touch on your, there he is right there. Let's introduce our
Sergeant Baker.
officer in charge, Sergeant Baker. That's the man. He asked if it was okay the other day to walk around town and chat with people and check doors. I told him to go to the IABA.
Say he's coming over our next meeting.
So, because I know we had an issue before with that, where one door got locked and wondering why it had gotten locked or whatever, but I know my wife's office had been open when I left it open one night, and I was glad it got locked. But Officer Baker, you got anything you want to say? Okay, nothing like putting a guy on the spot. And we thank Old Forge for letting him go and letting him come up this way, but he's still in the community. He's still gonna be helping out the whole area. Thank you. Was that it, Julie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Robin?
Go ahead. And Bonnie's got a copy of this. I emailed it to her, so she's got it. So Living Aid, Rockland Hill, Living Aid DK, some updates. As some of you know, the Inlet Tower, fund CD matured at the end of June, and we renewed it for 3 months for the Tower Committee's recommendation. Current funds held by the Living Aid for the tower are $240,899.45. Do you anticipate that we will be using some of that?
Did we get the checks back on the container yet? From the bank that we purchased?
I haven't even checked. I could check.
We're now starting to have expenses that aren't going to rural development or the county. So yes, they're gonna be dribbling in between now and October
Okay,
and probably into the next year.
okay. So Bonnie, I'll talk with you about.
Okay.
Old Forge Farmers Market continues to go well. Just keeping you apprised of the Direct Nutrition Assistance Voucher Program, which, these vouchers are handed out by area food pantries in Inlet and Old Forge, along with the Sharp Senior Program. And so far, the activities total $1,040 to date, which started June 21st. So that's wonderful. We're just about $30 behind where we were last year. And that's money either donated by, or provided by grants that we've applied for, or out of our revenue, the vendors. So we try to share it back out, and we don't keep that much of it except for equipment replacement, things like that. The Adirondack Foundation sponsored a social safety network workshop in Indian Lake on June 20th, which we attended. All in all, there were 4 location choices to attend. I know Linda went to Lake Placid. Saranac, sorry. So it was in Plattsburgh, Lake George, Saranac, and Indian Lake. So we had over 100 organizations of varying sizes across all types of social drivers of health service delivery, and participation. And it's imperative that we work together to meet the needs of the residents in our region. And we all wish for deeper communication and alignment of strategies, so that we can build a better service delivery. And there's going to be a report on that along with an executive summary provided to each participant. So we look forward to seeing that. The Alzheimer's Walk that was held in Fern Park on June 22nd, we raised approximately $2,000. All donations, including raffle income, were distributed evenly between Central New York and Northeastern New York caregiver support for the Alzheimer's Association. And we really appreciate the Inlet Parks Department in helping us set up with the tables for the event. So they were a big help, and Adele, and we appreciate the storage. Where is it, in the basement? Yep. For the Alzheimer's paraphernalia. Mohawk Valley Health System was awarded a mobile integrated health fund. Was awarded mobile integrated health funding And they are meeting with clinical leaders, discussing next steps and refining the model of care and how it will be delivered within the expanded community. So a lot of things to work out, but we'll let you know as that progresses. The Center for Businesses and Transition Program expansion, our employee, Steve Underhill, who's part-time, but is receiving training through ANCA, the Adirondack North Country Association, to expand our services within Living 80K's region. He works closely with our other liaison, Steve Shanley, who is presently working with 5 businesses through that transition process of getting ready to sell. We intend to create and implement a marketing plan to bring awareness of this free program soon. Living 80K continues to work with Adirondack Action and Adirondack Roots, creating a toolkit as an enticement to short-term rental owners, whereby converting their properties to long-term rentals. The pilot areas would be Webb and Inlet and Elizabethtown to start with, and the program is meant to include some monetary compensation. And then finally, the Living 80K Indeed deed restriction program. Our legal documents needed some refining by legal counsel and has recently been presented to Community Bank for their legal department review and approval, as our first applicant has a mortgage with Community Bank. We're hopeful that our program documents will meet their approval so we can complete our first deed restriction transaction in front of Webb. Once we have our first purchase, we will market the program to the expanded community. And for those that don't understand, the deed restrictions are placed on a home in perpetuity to preserve it for year-round residents only. So more to come on that, but we're excited to hopefully get the first one under our belt.
Cool.
Interesting for sure.
Thank you. Anything else for public comment at the start? There's another one at the end. Don't get worried.
I got one.
Oh, Dan's got one.
Somebody confronted me. I was gonna bring it up with you, Sean, about, of course, maybe you got a DOT guy. They want to recognize that ingress and egress where everybody goes to the church parking lot. Is there a way there's a sign or something we put there? I don't know what they're getting at is they come into town, somebody's coming out, it's a little blind spot.
A warning spot?
I guess, I don't know.
It's
It's a
tough.
state road,
It's
so
tough.
maybe you've got a connection, maybe you know someone that you could ask. I don't know what we would do.
Start with a resident engineer.
You like a blind driveway sign or something?
I guess, I guess.
One of those things.
It'd have been nice when,
Road
back when the
funding.
construction was here, we could have fixed that whole.
Right.
Oh, no, it would have been nice if the state had taken the wall down and the steps down and moved it back and put us in line of sight so
You
you
know
could see
exactly
people coming out of
what
there.
we spoke of, and we couldn't get them to bite it. That would have resolved it, but it's just no way the church can afford to do that. It's just not. So
I can ask.
just ask. It's just, I told them I'd bring it up with you. And I appreciate that.
I think it's time to go back to them and show them the CNS report that we had, the engineering that was done on that.
You know,
And the recommendation for them, I mean, the county's willing to do it, the town's willing to do some help, but the state's got to jump in too.
I agree with you.
Because that, if we could move that line of sight back, move a couple poles and have a sidewalk there that's set back from the road and no parking around that corner, it'd be a game changer.
You have to curb it or something.
You'd have to,
Yeah.
it'd be the only spot in town where I'd actually think a curb would
Yeah.
really
You'd have to.
be useful. But anyways,
Oh, I appreciate that, Sean.
Yeah. See what I can do.
Yeah, it's worth it. Worth it.
so you're a member of the John Q. Public now?
Sure.
Okay. All right, sorry. Hamilton County Soil and Water, I jumped the gun. They want to come next month to talk to us. Probably a good thing they got their hands full tonight with the rain down below. We've got highway, somehow I left highway and transfer and recycling up at the top of the agenda. Was that a mistake? Have at it.
We haul garbage and recyclables, swept downtown sidewalks and took every Thursday. Check roads and clear trees after some heavy rain. Performed maintenance on some truck and equipment, cut grass inside the highways and weed whack. We replaced the culvert up on Uncas Road. We blacktopped over top of the new culvert on Parkhurst Road. Cut a hazard tree hanging over Uncas Road. Cleaned up stump dump and hard debris dump sites. Cleared and raked Rock Dam Road and Moose River Plains and opened Rock Dam Road to traffic. We hauled gravel into the Moose River Plains for the Mitchell Pond parking area and Helldiver Pond access roads. And we shored up a gas monitoring well that we have filled around with a concrete ballard. and our engineers are happy at the transfer station. We're on one of them gas monitoring.
It's eroded or something?
No, we rate, because we're filling in across from the garage. It was one of them wells. So that's.
Parkhurst Road. I had a question at the Limekiln Lake Association meeting on Saturday morning. They want to know if that's going to be overlaid. And I said, I don't,
Someday.
and I said, I don't believe there's any plans now.
Someday.
But I said, I'd asked Sean to come, but he was busy. But I said, I apologize for Sean for fixing your speed bump. And they quite honestly said, yeah, it's nice to have that patched, but it was working out a really nice speed bump.
I know, but it's dump to plow over.
Yeah, it's tough to plow over, but, so that was the other question I forgot to tell you about.
So it's too smooth.
It's too, your road's too smooth, Sean.
I wasn't
I don't,
even happy with how.
I don't mean to embarrass you in public, but you did too good of a job.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Are you good?
Yeah, go ahead, transfer, sorry.
No, I've got coming up yet. We're gonna haul garbage and recyclables. We're gonna do work in the Moose River Plains at the Mitchell Pond Trail access and Helldover Pond Trail access, like we talked about. We're gonna get on that. We've got maybe 3 or 4 more loads to go in there. And then Monday, I hope to bring the excavator in there and start on them. We're gonna sweep downtown in Toby every Thursday morning still. Keep cutting grass on roadsides, Toby and Townsend trails, and we have some culverts to flush. And that's all I have for highway.
To push or flush?
Flush.
Flush, okay, I thought you said push.
Oh,
All right. Not hearing, not yours.
that's all I have for highway. You want-
Okay. Transfer,
Transfer, all right. Open 7 days a week from 8 AM to 11:45, and then 1 PM to 6:45 PM, closed from 12 to 1 daily for lunch. Transfer station is clean and orderly. Please be sure to enter the building before you proceed to the bins. And make sure that the stuff is being thrown away in the correct bins. There's been some stuff mixed in the C&D that shouldn't be there, like metal and stuff like that, so just be aware, because it upsets them up above. If there's any questions on the transfer station guidelines, they're on the town's website, available at the transfer station.
very good. Any questions? Okay. Ambient Power, do we have an update from Ambient Power? I don't see Connie here.
I am here.
Oh,
Yes, sorry, didn't mean to startle you. I'm sorry, I got an extra dog here tonight with the thunder. I decided I needed to stay home because my one dog freaks out. But
Gotcha.
anyway, I think I forwarded or shared that Brian Busby has been in touch this week, finally, and it's in the process. And he will be connecting with Nancy Bernstein to go the next step. And Denny, I don't know if you've heard anything more or different, but it is a process, and that's pretty much what Nancy Bernstein said.
Yep, we're still waiting.
and I noticed on your reply back to him, you'd asked for an update on that, and that hasn't come through yet.
Yes,
From-
right. It has not. It has not.
Well, thank you
So-
for staying on top of it.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Anything else on Ambient Power? Thank you, Connie.
You're welcome.
You woke me up.
Oh, sorry.
Let's have another cookie.
That's Fern Park Master Plan. Have we had a meeting yet?
We had one. I have the survey maps and I was gonna send an email out saying that I had the maps and we just haven't got.
Have we got together for a possible date?
But I'll reach out to Dan, because Dan Keeper is really helping with that.
Okay.
So see if he's available, and I'll try to set a date.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Back to living at ADK and the wonderful mural.
So, but I think at this point, I'm gonna check with Charles here about mural that Misty Townsend painted for you.
I've got small ones on all the agendas that I handed out, but it stacks up like this, not next to each other.
So let's start with that and see if the historical has room for it. Not what we were.
Okay.
I can speak about that.
Oh, Julie, go ahead.
I know the original question was if the Historical Society would be interested in having it
as we came down into Inlet on the side of the building, and the answer was no. The board voted no. Then there was discussion about putting it on the other side facing Mountain and Main. And so there was a lot of discussion there, including with Shayna and Todd. And I don't think a final decision was ever made. I do think everybody's open to that. And we are meeting on July 15th. So you're welcome, Robin, to contact Charlie if you want to, but we can also make sure it's an agenda item. If you want to get in touch with Charlie, I do know he went back to Pennsylvania, so, for a couple of days, or he's going to be, so if you want to reach out to me too and tell me how you guys feel and what you'd like, I'm happy to take it to the board for you. I think we're open, and if you want to take that picture that I gave them, that's how it's supposed to be together. Okay. And talk about it at your meeting and then get in touch with me. Okay, are there size dimensions? 8 feet by 8 feet. Okay. Overall. Okay, and it's a board that would be screwed onto the side of the board, right? And then would it ever be taken down like during the winter or no? It's coated, with, the appropriate coating for being outside, so you don't have to. I mean, the one in Eagle Bay stays up year round. Yep. So I think that's possible. It just depends on what you. And it is Living 80K able to help install that if necessary, or we've got some funds. We might just have to look for something. And we might be able to get somebody to volunteer to help with that too. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, well, I'll take that together. Yep, I'll take that to the board on I think it's the 15th. It's coming up and we can. Okay.
It came out really nice. So I think it'll be a great addition. All right, Youth Commission. Anybody have an update for the Youth Commission summer programs?
You didn't send anything?
No, I know that we did wind up, she was successful in getting somebody for baseball.
Yeah, so we have a baseball coach who is very excited to be there. He's awesome with the kids. He's there Monday through Friday from 9 to 11:30. So if anyone wants to do that. We have tennis instructor that's going to start on Monday,
Awesome.
12 to 2. And one of our lifeguards is offering to do swim lessons. It's not certified lessons, but we'll do lessons Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, just from 10 to 11. So that hopefully will start soon as well.
Yeah, and she was successful in getting what I like to call.
We had 4 lifeguards, but we're down to 3 now.
Yeah.
So so Sunday, we have only 1 lifeguard. That's the only day that we don't.
So I would caution people, if there's nobody there, it's no swimming, just so that we don't get in trouble with the health department. It is what it is. Yet again, I wish that our regulations were the same as the states. Because we have only 3, we're not going to be able to put the floating raft out. All right. Communications. All right, now AT&T question. Wake Reggie up. The power has been connected. DANK, the Development Authority of the North Country, has run the fiber up to the top, and Mr. Rouse told me earlier today that he believes the connection's been made to the TNT tower.
It was 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks.
Almost 2 weeks ago. They're doing some final testing on it.
I heard that there was they had some licensing issues, which they often do because they're so close
To Canada.
microwave frequencies and between the 2 towers. So they did not apparently do their homework ahead of time, which would have been nice for this last weekend.
I made the unfortunate comment to the, I'll probably reference this a couple of times tonight, to the Lemkin Lake Association that have been eagerly awaiting some cell coverage. It can be turned on anytime between tomorrow and 6 months from now.
It will be less than that. But
It will be less than that, but quite frankly, I've become jaded. It's trying to say a month, 2 months, 3 months, because every step of the process on this has been incredibly painful. But AT&T's equipment is done. T-Mobile's is supposedly on the way.
yeah, I didn't see them doing a lot of work yet,
No,
but their feed is big. They have power and fiber, so.
Yep. They have no excuse other than to go up there and hang their stuff. And tomorrow, the used shelter that we bought from Yates County, which is going to look pretty interesting until we spiff it up, is going to be delivered to the campus up at the highway garage and transfer. It's going to go in between the transfer station, snowmobile garage. Chip, you said you could be around to.
I'll block that or whatever.
Oh, they're gonna bring the block in. I put that in the request, but Sean's marked it off with cones as to where to put it. So we've got it going in the corner, but next to the transfer station building to the corner where the power is, so that if they want to run power easily into that while they're retrofitting it. When you see that thing sitting there, hopefully tomorrow afternoon or moving forward, it's gonna need some retrofitting. But that's what $5,000 buys you. Yeah, instead of 280, 250,
That was the lowest I remember.
yeah, $280,000. So somewhere between $5,000 and $280,000, we should be able to get that fixed. And they're talking about getting it up on the hill. If they can get somebody to pour the concrete up there, by September. This is not what I had wanted to hear. I had been trying to push both the county, the engineers, and Tarpon Towers when they were pouring the pad for AT&T, for T-Mobile to do it. They resisted pouring it until they knew the weight, the engineering on the container itself and the size and dimensions. I said, so you pour a bigger pad and it's a smaller container. It's got a front porch.
And you put it for a maximum weight, then you do it.
We'll know tomorrow the weight of this thing. Will be on the
Base-
late.
No, the bid notice has already gone out. There's a walkthrough scheduled for the 17th? No, 24th. There's a walkthrough scheduled for the bid documents of if anybody decides to bid. The situation with bidding, it's gonna come up a little later, but I might as well, I'll jump ahead. This parks air conditioning replacement. Nobody is willing to put a bid in for the air conditioners that we want to put in the town hall. We've got grant money. Mike even went as far as to tell the people we've got the money. It's grant money. Nobody wants to put a bid in. When we went out to bid on the shelter, the first time, nobody put a bid in. This last time we went out for bid, what should have been $120,000 to $150,000 bid came in at $280,000. Bid, which was basically a no thank you. If you really want to bid from us, here's our bid. It's location, and post-COVID supply chain is what I've been told. I could keep going on the equipment or the communications, but we are moving forward, but it's at a glacier pace. Planning board, anybody from the planning board? Have you heard from any of us on the town board on the update?
I have not, but there is an updated, plan, with the comments that I've gotten so far. Updated June 26th on the town of Inlet's website. I personally just tried to do a search to try to find that update on the website. So easy, it's not easy to find, so I'll make sure that the link is more prominent out there, but if anyone wants a copy, I can get you a copy of what has been updated so far by the comments from the departments that I've received.
If you can find that link, why don't you email it to the board?
Okay.
And then.
But I can find it, but if you just go to the site and try to search master plan, it doesn't take you where it should take. So it needs to be more prominent.
That'd give us a shot across the bow if you emailed it to all of us.
Yeah.
Do that right now.
Thank you.
Bid walk is the 15th.
The bid walk is the 15th. Gotcha. Anything else, planning board? Nope. Assessors codes, park building information that is all attached to the agenda. Did you have anything from information you wanted to point out above and beyond?
Nothing that was on, everything's on my report. If anyone has any questions, you can ask me, but something not on my report that Robin reminded me, I have some vouchers in my office from the Blue Mountain Center that are good at the farmers markets and Inlet and all of Hamilton County. Someone that benefit from these vouchers, send them to my office. I have some vouchers to give out.
Awesome. Good idea. Parks isn't here. The parks is attached. I don't see codes or assessor here. It's all attached.
Yeah.
That brings us to the town clerk report. Tag, you're it.
Revenue for my office was 4,760 for last month. So there's really no cottage rentals in there except by the end of the month. I have a couple of some correspondence I received. Oh, first I received a liquor license renewal application or, for the Woods Inn, for the new owners for the Woods Inn. So that's all been filed with the state. So we just like everybody in the town to be notified. I have a letter from John Khalil Jr. He's with the 80K Snowmobile Advocates Group. 80K Snowmobile Advocates would like to commend both the town of Webb and Inlet's efforts to work cooperatively together for the purpose of restoring the proposed snowmobile trail agreement while seeking to reestablish trust with each other. We are honored to have provided valuable feedback to both towns over the past several months concerning the ongoing snowmobile trail permit dispute. However, this was never our original intention. Likewise, the ongoing safety, maintenance, grooming, communication, and trail development concerns of snowmobile permit customers should not be suddenly cast aside and forgotten regardless of each town's decision, as there will certainly be much to address in the 24-25 season. Therefore, I would like to respectfully ask both towns put forth separate resolutions and commit to working cooperatively with the 80K snowmobile advocates to ensure the concerns of snowmobilers can be properly addressed and not continue to fall upon deaf ears, result in endless excuses or blame shifting. This would also encourage the future participation of volunteers when assistance is needed most and allow for the communication of relevant issues that need to be addressed in a timely manner. We are not asking to be placated for the sake of window dressing, but rather we are looking for mutual assurances from each town that we will be formally recognized as a liaison for snowmobile permit customers, area businesses, and other associated parties who are dependent upon the winter tourism economy. This would ensure, stapled it wrong, this would ensure that valuable feedback can be provided to the proper channels without fear of unnecessary political retaliation or the suppression of free speech. As a result, it would also help put to rest the much of the negative social media postings specific to the overall area that have been allowed to fester for years. Furthermore, it is this advocacy's opinion that for any municipal agreement to work, there needs to be a presumption of equality that exists for the protection of both towns' interests, regardless of how future trail permit revenues are to be dispersed. This would ensure that neither town would have a majority controlling interest that would consequently disrupt that could arguably be one of the most economically important agreements within the Adirondack Park. In closing, the recent dispute would never be allowed to happen again, and all efforts should be made to protect both the reputation and integrity of any future agreement. Thank you for your time and consideration. Very truly yours, John N. Khalil Jr., 80K Snowmobile Advocates.
Thank you.
So, and I believe that's all except, I have an issue with my computer. So I got a couple of quotes for a computer. I guess, my computer is about six years old. 6 years old.
You've been in office that long?
I've been in office 7 and I think you got it like the first year for me. Smart aleck.
I
So I'm having trouble printing, saving, anything like that. It just says cannot print, no memory, so on and so forth. I tried moving a significant amount of documents to Dropbox, is it called? Yeah, Dropbox or whatever, and it's still giving me a hard time. I don't know if it's something Denny can look at and see if it's something and see if it's something that can be fixed, but if not, what I was hoping or thinking was getting a laptop and then plugging into my current monitor so that I can take the laptop and go when I work from home, just take that full laptop and go home and work.
Great
And
idea.
then,
don't know anybody else that does that.
I don't know anybody else.
But-
Great idea.
yeah, see, yep, exactly. So right now I have a separate laptop and I have a separate PC. And I bring my work home that way. And sometimes I can't do certain things at home because I don't have. And the other thing it would save us is Williamson Law. I pay for 2 users. I pay for my laptop and I pay for my PC. So I would save as 1 user because I would have everything right on my laptop. So I do have quotes. I have the computer that Patrick is really, I guess, well versed on computers, and he kind of helped me a little bit because Denny was working today and I want to bug him. But The lower quote is with Amazon for $13.69.
What kind of computer?
It's a Dell Latitude 555. I have to.
Not a good idea.
I have to, because I do New York State, and New York State doesn't recognize Mac.
Right.
So and I'm wondering if part of the fact that I have like a double boot system is maybe eating up some of that memory. I don't know.
It probably is.
Okay, yeah, so I think that's part of my problem too. But anyway, I have that one. And then the other quote I got was from the same exact computer for $1638.50 from B&H.
Denny,
So-
is her Apple monitor gonna blow up if you plug a Dell into it?
What happened?
The only comment I would have is that would be a terrible waste of a fast computer to use it as a dumb monitor.
Oh, really?
Now, here's the thought on this would be if she's got the Dell to do the New York State stuff and we can purge the VMware or whatever is running the dual system on that Mac, that would probably speed it way up.
Oh, yeah, that was a bad machine, still very viable
Good.
Are you available?
right now, Lizzie, but
No, I mean, it's not, I mean, I've been
it's
limping.
gonna take a little while to get all that crap.
Yeah.
You just can't print any checks tomorrow, but
Yeah.
don't rush it. There's no,
We can't pay anybody tomorrow
Like right now to print.
temporarily. A memory dump.
I don't-
I know.
Yeah, yeah, because right now what happens is I have to shut down the computer, turn it back up, and then it'll let me print. And then it lets me print like 2 or 3 things, then I have to shut back down, turn it back up. So I'm not sure what it is. I'm not a computer guy. That's
She could run a window of that Dell inside in that.
What do I want to do?
You could still use the Mac for the mail, for this, for that, and then have the Dell pop up in like a window like you've got now.
Okay, but can I just get rid of the Mac?
Oh, you want to get a monitor now?
I just want to get rid of the Mac. I don't care how we do
Okay,
it. Somebody else can have the
we'll
Mac.
repurpose that someplace else.
Okay,
You
perfect.
probably could.
Yeah.
Yep, not a problem.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a terrible waste. of stuff.
Yeah.
Yep, nope,
Yeah, right.
nope. That's a very nice monitor and machine.
Oh, I agree. I love the monitor.
I'd take it in my office. No,
Okay. Anyway,
Um,
I'll just wait. I'll wait till Denny looks.
how
at
about
it.
but how about a not to exceed amount to.
Okay, the
get-
13.
So we're ready to go.
So we're ready to go.
Yeah.
It's within your budget.
Yeah.
What's that? Include them on?
An external monitor.
Okay.
Yeah, and a decent sized monitor, $200. So not to exceed $2,000
Okay.
with the bells and whistles.
Yeah, it does have quite a bit of memory, and everything, but I'll have Denny look at that too.
Just make it worse.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
opposed, so carried.
All right, thank you so much. And that was it?
Everything she wants.
Yeah.
That way the checks still get printed.
Yeah, exactly. That's all you care.
Okay, this bring me to the supervisor's report, just as my screensaver kicks on. I understand there was a good meeting in the town of Webb last night. And the result on that, Herb, you want to dive in? I was unable to attend the meeting myself, but Dan and Herb went. I don't know if you.
I didn't make
Yeah.
it. I was working away.
I think-
Dan and I went back down to Old Forge last night. We met with the board down there and, after much discussion and whatever, at the end, Old Forge agreed to put a resolution forward that, they would offer Inlet 17% to come back into the contract. They would there's a couple of things they would like. They'd like to see us add a little bit maybe of extra grooming if we can, different things. They would like to as far as the program and stuff, they're open to looking at what we can do to improve that. But I don't think we can do all that in 5 minutes.
No.
So if we can get agreed upon that 17% would be an agreeable number, and we could move forward towards the contract and go back into the snowmobile
Permit system.
permit system, then we can move forward with it, meet with them, try to get the other things squared away.
What concerns did we put forward to them moving in?
As far as,
A contract, binding contract, something?
yeah, we're looking at a new contract written up, modernize the old contract. That we would meet on a consistent basis to address any issues. We would have a 1-year contract that had to be renewed every year. We would have to meet sometime in December or whatever, so that by February 1st, all is agreed upon, and at the February board meetings, we would agree to extend the contract another year, so that gives us time in case
Changes.
we sales or whatever. We would, whatever it's gonna take, I wanna meet with departments in Old Forge, and I wanna get departments together, and I want to air out anything that's out there.
We're also gonna clarify and validate some of our leases.
Yes,
Because they have leases.
one of the things they brought up was that they're paying $43,000 for a lease with Lime paper, and they were looking to try to get some relief from that. And then I brought up that we're also doing leases, and I've got some figures on that pretty much jive with our percentage of where we're at on those leases. So I think that's pretty much a wash.
It could get a little worse for them.
Huh?
We got one that could make ours.
Well, there's a
couple
pending,
pending
there's some
for you
stuff
too.
going on. By the time fall comes, it's gonna be where it is. We could talk about that. I don't need to bring all that out now. I think the pro in going back in is that this is a program that's always paid for itself through the permits. And we were going to try to fund it through the tax base and through some cuts here and there, but ultimately it's gonna fall on the taxpayer if we don't go back. And I think that's a pretty good nut of money to have that program pay for itself. That's my personal feeling.
I'm asking leading questions on this. I already know these answers, but I'm.
Well, we gotta get it all out there.
Yeah, gotta get it all out there. I understand that we have got Mike Ross and Tom Greco here from the board tonight.
Yes.
I don't see any of that, but it was unanimous last night from their board, which is a nice, that's a very nice
Pretty impressive.
send back up this way. Just so that I can vent my side for a little bit, but I don't want to get negative with any of this. But moving forward, I was ready to fully support the tree.
I understand.
Two things that are pulling me back into this, first and foremost, is working together with the town of Webb. The second thing is, I did come up with a budget where we'd be able to survive for a year or two, but trying to replace a groomer in this day and age, those of us that are buying them know what they cost. It's the equipment that Chip wants to keep asking for. And it's equipment we need. I've said from the moment I sat in this chair, I support highway, I support parks, I support anybody that needs equipment to get the job done right. And there's no sense monkeying around trying to rent something if you've got something on site. The board supported that through the years within reason. Yes, they are the voice of reason. I'm the voice of can we buy? Can we buy? I'm in favor of looking at this, but as one that had been accused of not being communicative, I want to make sure the communication is there. I want to make sure that our information officers are talking to each other and and respect each other. I get that there's been a little bit of a whatever. I think some of the push through that we had trying to design the software program that's in place now, we didn't wind up where we were hoping that was going to be. So along the lines of what Mr. Khalil put in his note, I think it really needs to be recognized that this is a joint program. It's not led by one town or the other. It's both towns working together. Nobody's got the right, even though you might have the bigger percentage to say, you're just getting this. And if that's what the contract language can protect, that's the only negative I'll bring into it. I just want to make sure that the system is protected from that.
I think what kind of happened over time is, for nobody's fault, the communications kind of got dropped, and ideas got made that maybe weren't right and spread and it just festered over, I would say, a 5-year period. And, or more than that. And so by us having all these meetings and getting back and forth, I think we communicated a lot of frustrations on both ends, and we're able to talk about different things. And I think I got a little bit different perspective down there. So I'm hoping with the right language, whatever we got to do, that we can move forward as long as we continue to meet and talk instead of, just.
So can we keep Wednesday night meetings moving forward?
I would like that the committees continue to work. This is gonna take a couple of months. If we said tonight, let's do it. It's gonna take a couple months to get a contract written. It's gonna get a couple of months to look at how we're gonna process and do things, and we don't have all that time.
Yeah.
So we could start with what we got and move towards the future. I'm willing to work at it. You guys are willing to work at it, right? And so that we can better this for everybody.
What I was going was the Wednesday night meetings, our town board meetings being on Wednesday night.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying.
It's been incredibly nice for us to have the opportunity to go down there and sit in their meeting. Because you know what, even if we schedule 2 meetings a year, if one of us is always going to a meeting, if one of them is always coming to our meeting and there's a question that pops up, nip it in the bud.
I hate to say this, but I'm gonna say it. I was not happy about moving the meeting to Wednesday.
I hear you were.
But I'm gonna take that back and I'm gonna say this has worked out really well. And I don't think if we had done that, we wouldn't be where we are.
It's a positive for
So
sure.
how about you like that?
Whose idea was that?
Yeah, it was your idea.
I don't usually try and point that kind of stuff. It was probably more Bell's idea than anybody else. But I think we came up with it at the same time, trying to answer if the court's supposed to have full use of this room on Tuesdays, then our meetings are on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
And the side benefit of that is
You can stay connected.
we can stay connected a little bit better.
I think that definitely helped with this process and it will continue to help with the process.
Sure.
So I had heard this, I have no idea if it's true or not, but the percentage of the trail fund permit costs. Is that accurate?
They're here to answer that, but if I could give you Inlet's view on that, from its inception, if there's a good year, both towns had money left at the end of the year in the bottom line. It might have been an off year where you weren't buying a groomer or this, that, or whatever. Is it every year? Are both towns flush with the money? I always used to think in the back of my head, back when they had full control and had to operate the health center, well, if they got a little extra money in the kitty and that keeps the health center open, that's a great thing.
Right.
If they got a little extra money left in the kitty and that helps out, keeps McCauley Mountain open.
It's a good thing.
Because guess what? Not everybody likes snowmobiling. So
Yeah.
if that gives the other people in town someplace to go and do something, or do they have a need where they've got to replace a garbage truck and there's money left over? I don't think it's, you guys could answer that. I don't think it's earmarked anywhere.
No, to be honest, depending on how much we're grooming and things like that, there's obviously a budget. You guys work with budget. So if you got overtime, if you're using a lot of fuel, if you have a good year, you're using your machines more, you're breaking things, you spend all that money and more. Or like last year, we didn't groom that much. We did break a lot last year, but gas, overtime, all that stuff. So there probably isn't. It's also a huge issue with the expenditures too. There's people in different departments and things being spent in different departments. It's like hard to keep up with, like I actually asked for that.
Most impossible.
I really actually don't read about that, the spell, that type of thought. I heard it. But
Want to be able to speak to it on colleague.
Right.
No,
the word out was, it's like, a huge percentage of funds.
That's been everybody, all the small wheels. and all
Yeah.
that.
That's what we hope we can start.
Resolve that misconception.
All right. Julie, you would ask if there's gonna be stuff from the public too. Did you have anything you wanted to?
Well, per the notes before, it was said that you guys didn't feel like you could move forward till the past issues were resolved, which I guess they were resolved when we got paid. But a lot of us didn't find that out, that you were paid till in the last couple of days when a snowmobiler put it out on Facebook, unless it was.
Because we were only
We
paid. like
we
literally that day.
received the check. I knew that it was, the check was been mailed And then I asked Bonnie if she checked the mail. She went over to the mail and the check was there.
Yeah.
We didn't know, you knew before we did.
Okay.
For real.
From not having a check to now discussing going back into contract with Town of Webb in the matter of a couple of days.
Mhm.
Correct?
Well, yes, I
The
mean,
discussion.
The discussions were ongoing for the last couple months.
Because I'm just very hesitant and I put this out in a letter to both town boards and I'll say it right now. I think Town of Webb and Inlet should work together. But I think based off of everything that has happened over the last couple of months, that it would be foolish to immediately tonight go back into an agreement before you are sure that everything is laid out, that we can never have this happen again, because I'll tell you, my personal feeling is that if it were not for Tom Greco, we wouldn't even be here right now.
Okay.
And I'll tell you another thing that I think many of the residents of Old Forge, if they hadn't gone and spoken for us, that we wouldn't be here right now.
Can I jump on what you said? And Herb will back me up on this. It's what I said earlier today. My proposal tonight is a provisional move forward. It's not permanent until I see a contract that both towns have passed by resolution. But if the timing is of what it is, where they need to print the permits up, if those permits are handed out to the public before the contract sign, I'll have an issue. That was gonna be my last part of my statement tonight, was provisionally moving forward with in good faith.
Well,
Just what we talked about last night was trying to get an agreement on the number, so then we could work out the kinks, and the lawyers are basically from the same firms, and those things could all be put into a contract. So really, if they agree to the 17%, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're like, back in business here and it's time to vote. It's more or less like there's still gonna be some things that they're gonna look over that we would look over before we come.
Sure, because
Right.
once it's,
That's what we agree.
until it's printed and signed, it's not finalized.
Because if we have a big ask in the contract and they say no, we're back to free.
Well, so you said that you supported us going free, and of course it was originally about the money. But it seemed like afterwards that there was other reasons that it would be good for Inlet to go free. And again, I'm not saying that this isn't the best decision for Inlet. I feel torn between being a taxpayer and just being a person with some pride. I feel like Old Forge put us through the ringer. What's gonna stop them from doing it again? Or at least one person I trust on there. And I feel like we are going to lose some, credence with the snowmobilers. They were very much in support of us going free. And I think when we go back with Old Forge, that's going to, I don't know if it's gonna irritate, look bad, if they're gonna laugh at us. I just think it's stuff that we should keep into account, because a lot of people were for us going free. And it was gonna loop us in with our northern neighbors a lot more. And I just think there's so much to consider, and I haven't even had time to digest it all, being that that everybody just found out. I just think that it's a lot to take into account.
And again,
I agree. I just want to say,
yeah,
I agree. My office is gonna get hit hard. with this, So I'm just saying, I agree. We need to really think about this before we.
but we can't think about it if we don't get a contract to look at and.
You can't
Get the ball rolling.
decide it.
So why does the money go to Old Forge up front and then they have to pay us? Why can't it go into an account where we both have access to the money instead of us?
Here's the deal. Here's the short answer. We used to do all our stuff up here. They do their stuff down there. Over the years, online sales started. The online sales go through them. So that's where that money's going. So the more, just like in your business, I'm sure you have more online sales and credit cards than you ever did before. And so that money's all going to that one pot and then being split up later. One of the things that I proposed, one of the things that I'd like to work towards, but I can't do it in 5 minutes, is a new program that splits the money at the time it comes in. So as the money comes in, ours 17 goes over here and theirs goes to their account. But I can't do that in 2 minutes. It needs a new program and it needs that has to be done. So if we can go to step 1, we can get to step 2 and 3. There's some trust here. to make sure that this is gonna work, but we can't just make everything work and then start. It'll be December 1st if we do it that, or later, you know, so that's what I'm weighing. And as far as how we're gonna look, I mean, we had no other option before. So we're gonna sell it the best way we can sell it. But now, if the snowmobilers can pay for their program, which is the way it should be, to me, that makes more sense.
And as far as the online community, even 4 or 5 years ago, honestly, you know, you're gonna have your negative trolls. You're gonna have those that'll never give up on that. This is gonna give them something new to hang their hat on. Moving forward, I think the process that's happened over the last, you know, year and a half, 5 years, especially us saying we're gonna go free, it's gonna hurt sales. You know, sales aren't gonna be as strong as they were. And even coming out of a bad year, that's probably gonna be what it is. The only thing we can do, if we can get back to where we're working together, is to make sure we're still offering the best product available.
Mhm.
And Mother Nature's been the biggest driver in that. But I'd really like to point out at this point in time, both towns, you know, so that maybe this helps stem some of the negative stuff. By us having more money coming in with the permit program, it's not gonna put as big a drain on the highway when we say, hey, can you guys haul the snow over and dump it on the sidewalk where it's melted and it's bared up? Webb does that down by the Pied Piper, I believe. They haul snow in there,
A lot of spots.
a lot of spots. You know, it's not just going out and grooming the trails. It's other stuff in the town that supports that. And I know you usually try and put the glossy photos right out on the internet when they're doing it to say, this is what we try and do to maintain it. Are we gonna be able to make sure that trail going over to Eagle Bay is smooth constantly? Never gonna happen. Trail 5 gonna be smooth constantly? Never gonna happen. All we can do is
Best we can do.
best we can. And one of the things they've asked for us to do is possibly some nighttime grooming. The issue with nighttime grooming for the town of Inlet is the Moose River Plains. Sending somebody all the way back into the plains in the middle of the night is problematic. Grooming over to Eagle Bay might not be. We're willing to look at it, but you know, these are the things that we've got to flesh out and work through. If we can get our shared lawyer to come up with a shared agreement that we both can sign off on.
Yep.
And Julie, I don't take your comments lightly. Adele, I definitely don't take your comments lightly. You're going to be on the firing line. But we've got to put a unified front forward if we can. And quite honestly, and I'll say this, I've said it before. Yes, we're in Hamilton County. There's many wonderful benefits to being in Hamilton County, but I constantly get beat up for we're not getting enough services out of Hamilton County over this way. One of the big differences on that is our cell communication and the emergency communication towers that are going up there. It's been a pain in the butt, but it's been a joint effort. We are more attached to Old Forge than we are to Indian Lake snowmobiling. Not everybody rides all the way through the plains. They go out, turn around and come back. So it just makes sense for us to be on the same page with Webb.
That's fine, but, and I agree, and I'm not saying I disagree with us teaming back up, it's just, you know, it scares me, you know, let's say that he doesn't run again, or that, you know, Herb, if you decide to step down or whatever, will we still have as strong of advocates? But you have to remember that a month ago, this was a 180 where we were like, let's support Inlet going free. I can find it in the budget. We can do this, we can do that. There were all these positives for Inlet going free. And a lot of people jumped on that bandwagon to support us, which is great. But now within a matter of a couple of days, Inlet has now 180 again. So it's a little hard to
I'd
come up with / adjust.
I'd like to say the 180 probably isn't accurate. I've been the one that's been pushing the free. Kind of had to hammer Herb with it to start.
You never sold it to me.
Never sold it to, I'm just saying, never sold it to.
So.
I wasn't here when
We
you
were-
wanted to vote.
He wasn't here for that vote.
Oh, okay.
And quite honestly, if I did too good of a job trying to sell it, my job is to sell it to the taxpayers, not the snowmobiling community. The snowmobile community took it all off on its own. You won't find any post out there for me advocating for that. That was me trying to say, I've got a budget that I can present. You know, that it's not gonna hurt the taxpayers this year. Quite honestly, I fully expected at budget time to get beat up on that. Well, what's gonna happen next year and the year after that? And in all honesty, if I'm doing a 180, that's where it started hitting me in the back of the head. And to your point, Herb's not here, Dan's not here, I'm not here. If we don't have a contract in place where this money's coming in, snowmobiling could be dead in Inlet. If it's purely based in the tax base. You know, it took Indian Lake a long time to get a decent groomer to go into the plains with a blade on it. They didn't have permit money to throw around, and New York State wasn't handing it out to them. We've had better equipment to where for years, we were going all the way through to Indian Lake to knock down the banks, fill in the ruts when they couldn't do it, just to make sure it was rideable. You know, that would have been us in the back of my head. That's my 180. It would have been us 5 years from now. You know, how are we going to buy the equipment?
Yeah, or how are we gonna keep maintaining? You know,
How do we get here?
yeah.
How do Web get where they?
Peg's got-
That Peg's them got us all there.
Do the best you can to keep this community safe from here on out, contract wise, so,
That,
and I'm sure you will after what just happened, so thank you, and so.
thank you for your concerns. And seriously,
Yeah.
Peggy,
Check that you're referring to, is that this year's check?
Yes.
well, yes, this
Last
back
We
year.
have both checks.
So last season we had both.
$37,000 check and the $99,000 check.
Yes,
That's what I wanted.
Everything's cleared.
everything's clear. They're all caught up.
And I also wanted to say thank you very much for your decision. You haven't voted on it yet, but I think it's great that you guys have come to an agreement. And I think it's great that John's group, if you accept that, works together with all that to keep things moving forward. It takes the burden off the taxpayers, maybe not this year, next year, but the year after. So I think it's wonderful that you're working together and communicating and everything going forward. Be great.
And on that point, quite honestly, I'd like to thank John for his positive leaning on the internet with all these discussions. You've helped recenter some of the ones that were starting to go off the trail. If I can use that analogy. And Adele's gonna need your help.
It's gotta be a team effort. And, you know, at the end of the day, I've said this all along, ultimately, many of the snowmobilers live out of the area, but it ultimately comes down to the decisions of the people that vote in these communities. So if we can find a way to acknowledge the people, there's some people who live out of town, come here and support this area, find a way where everyone can work cooperatively together. I think we can make it happen. But it's gonna take all of us being on the same page, being respectful of each other, understanding the challenges we're all facing, and we're gonna have some heated dialogue. It's gonna happen. But I think that if we have a direction we can work forward to or work towards going forward, I think it could be a good thing. And I think there's an opportunity to really make this, you know, get back to where it once was, if not become even bigger over time.
And it is gonna be a tough for Dallas this year because of the situation. And because there was stuff that came out of the information office that said free and last free. It wasn't you, but I mean, it came from the.
I was helping push that to her.
And that's not my only concern too. My concern is just moving forward, that there is communication, better communication between everybody,
Everybody.
like this town,
Yeah.
all departments. It's not just snowmobiling, like just moving forward. These towns need to work together.
Well, and one of the angles on that is, one of the things that I heard from both Webb's board meetings and our board meetings, quite honestly, was from the business community. We haven't acknowledged them yet tonight. And they were worried, and it was never my intention by stating going free to hurt any business in Old Forge, Big Moose, Eagle Bay, Inlet. You know, wasn't trying to put the shine more on the businesses in Inlet just because we've got some restaurants here or whatever. You know, if the trails are good, the riding's good, the people will spend their money where they want to spend the money. And the places have got to be open. If we don't have this unified system, it's going to be tougher for them to do their business. Mike?
Just to go on that also, because in our meetings, committees that we thought, there was also other concerns, and one of them was South Shore Road. One was the lake,
Yeah,
how you're sending people out on the lake that might not be safe, whatever.
because they're trying to skip the pass. I'm gonna,
Little things that as we talked, things started to come to light a lot more, and that's what it took, a lot of discussion. A lot of discussion on it and we're coming together, enforcement measures. Any issues that we, a lot of us didn't think about that. We just went on day by day and let it go. And then now we've had a lot of discussion on how things should get better.
And quite honestly, even if we hadn't gotten back to this point, if we were on the free path or whatever, you know, it had been my intention to still support Inlet grooming and maintaining the trail of the Red Dog. Because it would have been impossible, literally, for Webb to trailer a groomer up
Right.
and groom to them. You know, there's a bunch of people in the public that think that the Red Dog's in the town of Inlet. The trail starts off of Limekiln Lake Road in the town of Inlet, crosses state land, and then enters onto private property in the town of Webb. We've always tried to take care of it. It's been a lot of weather dependent because we can't do a lot with that state trail to make it the dream trail. But man, when the conditions are right, that's one of the nicest trails in the area.
He's getting it better though. He's getting it better. He is. It's coming.
But anyways, you know, just to the point, we weren't totally driven apart. It might have looked ugly, but I'm glad we're getting back to where we are. The resolution we're going to be passing tonight, I hope, is the 17% and moving towards the contract talks. That's what you guys passed, correct?
We just need some knowledge on how to do anything with the software and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, it's all gonna come. It's all gonna come. If we get step one here, we'll talk. And we're gonna get input from Adele, we'll get input from Mike, we'll get input from, you know, so everybody's got a say in what, you know, what we need and how we're gonna find it. But we can't do it overnight.
Shouldn't we start a whole new program?
We can't,
You're talking software program.
yeah, software program.
Maybe.
Maybe. Maybe it just needs some modifications. We don't.
Problem is, we can start it with it, but we can't start with it in October.
No,
And so we have to find it,
Yeah,
make it
yeah.
work, implement
It's
it.
gonna take a few months. I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah, yeah.
Because
Start over with that.
even last year with the program that we have out there now that still sent the majority of the online requests to the town of Webb, Adele and the town of Webb's office were able to work out sending some of those up here so you could help process those.
Correct. We had access, so we
Yeah.
were able to process.
Process more.
But even though they were processing them,
Right.
the money still went into the Webb's bank account.
Yes.
That's the piece that's probably going to be the first one. Can we tickle that and get that right?
But didn't you say, Adele, you couldn't Kelly
Reporting
every
was
day?
terrible. I couldn't
You
get
couldn't
daily
record, you
reports from
couldn't
it.
Right.
you know.
Right.
I couldn't say, you know, I couldn't just get a report at the end of the day and said, this is how much money my office took in, as opposed to how much was online, but there was not, it's not a good program.
It's not that trackable.
Kind of where I was-
You can alter it.
Kind of where I was going with that was though, even though things were getting off trail and falling apart and looked like we were going in a different direction, she was still working with the information office and Webb to help process the permits.
Yeah.
In good faith. We were still trying to move forward with good faith. Let's continue on that path. I'll offer a resolution for accepting Webb's offer of 17%, with the contingency that we get, a contract in place as soon as we can.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
I'm good.
I'll go.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? It's passed unanimously here too. And this isn't just flying off the seat of the pants. This has been a back and forth. I didn't know if I was going to offer that resolution myself tonight. Peggy?
Question, about the funds from that we received. I know you have actually money. Does that cover the cost of damage to the snowmobiles and the sidewalks that you replaced?
It's a
That's one of those items
discussions.
that's in the budget. We've got a 14,000, 12,000, 14,000, 15,000.
Sidewalk?
Yes.
Sidewalks is like 40, isn't it?
It's grown, so it's a.
Quite honestly, half of it pretty much goes to replace where the snowmobiles have to run over the sidewalk. The state,
Doesn't cover.
if we were to literally, and that's one of the questions that's been asked, and we're gonna come up with what's our total dollar amount spent between the fringe benefits for the employees that do the grooming, that's not in our snowmobile budget line. The recreational easements out, it sits in parks, that's not in that line. The sidewalk replacements, not in that line. The insurance cost for indemnifying the trails. It's not broken out in our insurance rider anymore. At one point, when we added it, it was a known number. Now we don't know that number. And I'm quite honestly afraid to ask the insurance company for it because then they might up our insurance.
Yeah. Somebody wants to bring it up.
I asked our insurance company, but it wasn't as much as I thought it would be, but we don't, we're in the same boat. I tried to get all those figures out and it's all.
Virtually impossible.
The other problem,
Taxpayers are still paying even above and beyond what they get off the snow.
If they are, it's minuscule compared to the program. Quite honestly. Yep, you know, in all honesty, if in a bad year, when we're buying a groomer and having to fix things, if that's $20,000, I'd be surprised for the town of Inlet. I mean, you know,
I never hear anything about that, so I was just curious if taxpayers are putting the bill for snowmobilers, or snowmobilers are paying for all of this stuff.
They pay for a high portion of it for
Yeah,
sure, but it's not
the-
all easily trackable.
the lion's share. And again, the benefit on that is, you know, the businesses in town that are open during the winter pay taxes.
And hiring
Um,
people.
Yeah, and the state of New York does a lot to promote this. And one of the things I'd like to say is the state of New York, as we all too well know, is one of the biggest landowners and taxpayers in the town of Inlet. So, you know, we might be getting a little dribble of money back from them for maintaining the planes. The taxes they pay on the planes is quite a bit. All right, I don't mean to. I've got two other things. I don't think we've got anything on our Zoom meeting local law yet.
no, I haven't, she hasn't even sent me the local law.
All right, and I've got a request from Seventh Lake Road. There's that dead tree on the corner that's got the mirror on it. It's a danger. It's gonna fall down. It's been repeatedly asked of National Grid to take it down, and they told the homeowner on the corner yet again today, it's not our job. Tried to tell us that it was the town's job. It is not the town's job to take that tree down. They had a specialist because National Grid did not do the work themselves. They had somebody else on the road doing the tree work last year. And when I asked them to take that tree down, they told them they weren't told exactly which tree to take down. They could not take it down. I'd like to get a letter from our lawyer. Yes, we'd like to get letters from our lawyer. Basically putting National Grid on notice that that is a dangerous tree, that it is not the town's responsibility, it is their responsibility. They've taken down other trees on the road in the same manner and see if it gets anywhere.
Yeah, and just CC the public service. Yeah.
Yep, CC the
Public Service
Commission.
We'll have more leverage, I promise.
Just like somebody would come to us and say that sidewalk's defective, you're on notice. If I trip and fall, you're gonna get sued. I think they need to be put on notice. And quite honestly, shame on them for saying they're not gonna take the tree down. They had a crew there last year. It would have taken them another 2 hours. The crew that was there was easily, I think, 8 guys. All right, I've ended my spleen on that. It takes us, there's no executive session tonight. Public comment, anybody?
And I should have identified myself earlier. My name's Curtis Reed. Place, live here part-time here on Office Road. I have a question, but I want to explain first why I'm going to ask it. Over the last 3-4 years, as we're voting on Fort Lake, I've seen an increasing proliferation of buoys that are being placed out in front of camps. I'm seeing that they're annually being placed further out of the water. Last year started seeing, in addition to the round buoys, people are placing the wake zone buoys out there. I get the concerns and I respect the concerns of the people who have places on the lake, but there are also boater safety concerns as these things proliferate, because there's a certain level of uncertainty down as to which ones are legitimately marking hazards and which ones aren't. So my question is, who is it, what authority has the jurisdiction over the placement of legitimate navigable buoys on the lake?
DEC. DEC. Yeah, and where most of those are going are over towards Eagle Bay and the I say most of them, Alger Island, I think there's some on the backside of Alger Island. I've noticed them too. And the sandbar.
Well, yeah, and Eagle Point particularly, but I'm seeing them all around the lake now as I travel, south side of the shore of the lake, I've seen them. As well as on the north shore, and I'm just seeing little by little, there are more and more going there, that are going out there, and just see it creating a potential problem if that proliferation continues year, if it's not managed properly.
I compare them to the stay off my lawn signs and posts that are in my parents' subdivision in Rochester. You can't drive around the housing tract without wondering if you're going to hit one of those because the roads are too narrow. But it's DEC and they're severely understaffed. Quite honestly, we've got a couple of buoys out in front of the channel here where one of them's missing the red or the green. I noticed it coming in from the fireworks the other night. I saw one a couple of years ago. Somebody pick one up and drag it away as they were going by. It's DEC is supposed to watch that.
Okay, thank you.
Peggy?
Same thing that gentleman said on Fort Lake, not 67 Lake also.
Yep.
It's pretty big too. Is there any coverage on the lakes at all? So
Hamilton County has the normal amount of coverage. I understand that our
Standard coverage.
I have it from our ex-chief of police's mouth today at his retirement luncheon, that he is now in charge of making sure that the Hamilton County, he's doing 2 days a week for Hamilton County right now. Just as and doing investigations or whatever, and the Sheriff Abrams has asked him to counsel the boating safety guys on proper etiquette, where to go, better disbursement, all these things. Do we have a dedicated boat for our area? No. And it's staffing more than anything else.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, the guys that are doing it, I got to be careful how I say this. They're all look like the same color hair I've got and beard I've got, and it can be grumpy. Huh?
I'm just kidding.
Carl Abrams is looking for more people. And if we had more people, he'd buy another boat.
what they did, looking for drapes, where those ones are.
Yeah, the culvert has collapsed. And they patched it best they could temporarily. And they will be replacing it in the near future. I don't know when, but
Because the cones are still there.
yep, it's gonna be a full culvert replacement across the whole road,
Oh,
from
wow,
what I understand.
okay.
Yep.
I just wondered why they hadn't come back and gotten the phone.
Yep, it's marking that because it did collapse. They just patched it with some old signs, old patch or whatever. Just temporarily till they get it looked there, get it pushed down the line to have it replaced.
Robin?
Question on the tower, emergency equipment. When does that go up?
They're not going to put it up until the shelter is going to be in place and the radio equipment's inside the shelter. Julie, did I see your hand up?
Are you guys gonna talk about and discuss possibly working together with John Will's snowmobile advocacy group, like in the letter that he submitted?
I kind of softly said that Adele's going to need his help earlier. It's an informal request at this point. But yeah, if he's going to be one of the conduits that can help Webb and Inlet communicate, I'm more than willing to listen to them. Especially if they're going to help us with the we went back to a permit system.
Not asking for money either.
Wow.
Yeah, it is.
Can you find more people like that? Anybody else?
Yeah, this is Connie.
Oh, go ahead,
Yep.
Connie.
I'm still here. Just a couple things. Wanted to check to see if any decision has been made about how the $10,000 grant is going to be spent. It does have to be determined by August 29th. how to spend that. So I'm not sure if you've met and talked about that, but it's $10,000
separate.
to use.
That's separate from the air conditioning grant, right? Is that,
Well, there was one that was mini splits. That's the first grant.
Right.
This is another grant. So,
10,000.
yeah, I want to check on where we are with the mini splits, but this is another grant entirely. And I think, Bonnie, you've gotten the information from Nancy Bernstein, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so there's options there that you can decide on. But yeah, just don't want to lose that option. It does have to be determined by August 29th.
Okay, so our last chance to do that is at our August meeting.
Okay, yeah, so please, 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 see if you can find something to do, with that money. That would be great.
And
Also, go ahead.
And we weren't allowed to buy a fossil fuel generator for the library
Right,
to.
no, that didn't fall into the category, unfortunately. I would have loved to see that happen, because at least it would have solved the problem, but they said, no, that was not gonna be an option.
And we don't want to use, the word lithium batteries in the public sector anymore, I guess.
Well, maybe, I don't know, but you know, fossil fuels, no. Anyway, just to let you know, we are having a presentation on August 7th at 6:30 at the town hall. It'll be Carson Schweinsberg, Annie Arnold, somebody who's representing Nancy Bernstein, because she will just coming back from vacation. It'll be talking about, and it'll also be Fourth Coast. It'll be talking about heat pumps, and it'll be also talking about clean energy community programs, home energy efficiency improvement, and tax credits that will be available for the public. So they're working on making a flyer. I know Adele's involved in getting this information out to the public, but it would be good for a lot of local residents to you know, tune in on this, and I'm sure there'll be a Zoom presentation as well. They can either attend in person or by Zoom. So that will be going on again on August 7th. And just to let you know, the garden is going great. 11 out of the 12 beds down below are occupied and doing super. And again, thanks to Dan Levy, and thanks to the town. You know, the highway department for putting the pat, what was that called, Dan? The
So fence down.
the fabric down, and then also the chips, and then also for getting the compost down there too, so that people could get their garden started. So thank you all.
Very good. Very, very good. Thank you, Connie. Peggy?
I got one more thing. You'll let them go by without-
It's like Columbo, just one more thing.
Housing. Did you get anybody for the clerks of the works?
I believe we do. I believe the gentleman we reached out to, but Sean told me earlier today that if you want to help with that, well, you can't leave.
You can't leave now, you just signed up.
I told Sean earlier, I'd like to get together with Mr. Rudd, maybe yourself, me, and get the DOT representative on the phone, because there's a lot of regulations that we've got to jump through. And quite honestly, that's what I'm looking for clerk of the works to be all about. So I understand you have some contacts in DOT, so you might understand the jargon a little better than some of us.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
I don't work for DOT.
I know. But yeah, we don't want to give up on it, especially, I hate the fact that the DOT, because it took so long to give us that grant, that he told me that the grant's good until 2029.
He told you that?
29?
I can't remember what he said.
It was long. I thought
It
it
was,
was 46.
it was too long of a number, but we want to get that done. And one of the things that Sean wants to make sure is that within that grant, that we can get them to do you know, whoever we pick, if they're fit in with the state requirements for
The acronym, good luck with
yeah,
that.
the acronym,
And
the minority women business owners, portion of the grant money that has to be spent. But I believe the paver is one of those already. Black is. So anyways, if we can get them to do the hauling, the putting down, the whatever, and our guys would maybe be doing the prep and the post cleanup or something like that. Okay. I have one more thing, and I've been meaning to say it for the last 2 meetings and I keep forgetting. And I'm not trying to open up the conversation on the golf course again. They're working through what they're working through up there, but lost on this has been the fact that the Linds have been good neighbors for years. Giving us golf carts for the symphony, anything we need, the loaning us their roller, to when we did pave and pack down the Townsend Trail. Equipment, anytime we asked for it, they would give it to us. If you see Roger, Margie, or Roger Jr. anywhere in town, rather than, hey, what are you doing with the golf course? Could you please tell them thank you for what they've done, for what we had, what we got to use. I think a couple of them I've heard might be a little hurt by some of the conversations that have been going on behind the scenes. It is private property. They unfortunately did such a great job fixing that golf course up. It's deeply missed. But they also have been good neighbors and good friends of the town of Inlet and the people that live here. So my appeal is, if you see them, please thank them. Even if it means going out of your way to say thank you. I think it would mean a lot to them. It's not going to open it back up for us or anything at this point in time, but they had been good stewards for years up there. That's all I've got. Anybody else?
Just one more thing.
Okay.
Chip didn't have a report, but he's been sending me some pictures. He's done some awesome work on the ski trails recently. And as soon as he's done with that, he's going back on some of those guys.
And I appreciate them pictures, those heads up there.
We don't get it done in a couple weeks.
Appreciate that. No, I'm excited you can send pictures. I'm just Chip.
He's moved right into the 1990s, I tell you. Tommy?
Yeah, back to Adele's point there, where her concern to two towns. That was why this meeting was made last year, was to us to discuss, working together better. And it all just went right into the snowmobile percentage. I don't know if you guys, how much you remember from that, but that was huge. And I just want to give you guys credit, Adele, everybody that's been involved for sticking with this. It's been, to Julie's concerns with the 180, it's gone that way for both boards, both towns, both, areas, taxpayers, everybody, because that's how it's gone. And I really think that if, you guys continue to show the willingness to support that mindset with working together, I think it's already starting to resonate into our area, which I think has led to this. And I hope that will continue. I think Mike and I we'll try to keep work on that with our people that are down there in those departments, so we can actually, take that, address that and move forward. Overall, just thank you. I think this is the right move and figure out that contract forward.
Thank you, guys.
No, thank you guys. We appreciate it.
Anybody else? Last chance?
I got,
Oh,
I'm talking about something else. Those banners on the poles, Inlet ones,
Mhm.
the Christmas ones. We haven't, because I have a property up here. Do you have anything else we can put up, or?
We're working on
I
it.
just want to talk about.
No, we're filling them with the Legion banners.
Yeah.
So.
The Legion.
the American Legion.
Hometown heroes.
We're gonna replace them with Legion banners.
At one point, there were going to be other ones going up with businesses on them and stuff like that. But then we had the conversation, the people that come up here in the summer don't know what happens up here in the winter.
Right.
And the people that come up here in the winter don't know what happens up here in the summer.
That's the truth.
And it was to show snowmobilers support.
Yep.
The snow.
Oh, wow. That's a good one. Oh.
He learns quick.
All right, folks, on that note, thanks for coming. I'll audit of the bills, motion to pay highway.
So move.
Second, discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, negative, nope, passed, unanimous. Motion to pay general and sewer is offered. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? So passes. Our next meeting's on the 14th of of August, where we're gonna make sure that we tell Connie what we're spending $10,000 on,
I'll
And it's
fill
a
it.
Wednesday.
and it's a Wednesday.
And it's a Wednesday.
I actually got the day right.
Yay.
All right, folks, a motion to adjourn,
Over that.
Second.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, guys.